The more I learned about body types and different body shape systems, the more confusing I found them. After working with various systems for years, including Kibbe, Kitchener Essences, even things like the fruit shapes, I found none of them accommodated for all the different body types I would see when women sent in their photos. And over time, this resulted in my system, which is called the body matrix. And in today's video, I'm going to break down the simplest ways to find your body matrix type in its most simple form by going through width, length, and shape, and some really cool hacks to help you find yours. My name is Ellie-Jean. I help women to curate their image and become unforgettable, and I'm also obsessed with TV and film. So there are three main factors to consider when establishing a body matrix type: your width, your length, and your shape. So let's start with width. Width is a really important characteristic because it determines things like necklines, the flare on your trouser, whether you're going to wear like a skinny jean or a flared jean, whether you look best in tight skirts or more flared skirts, whether you look best in an open sleeve or a more fitted sleeve. So it's, in my opinion, maybe the most important characteristic as it defines like the openings of your clothing. There are three types of width: wide, medium, and narrow. So if you're medium, you're neither particularly narrow nor particularly wide. There are in-depth ways to be certain of your width by doing your line drawings, analysing that line drawing, and all the information about that is in the Features Analysis Handbook, which you can get below. But the most simple way to find your width is answered with this question. Do you have to go up a size when buying jackets or tops because your regular size doesn't tend to fit your shoulders? And of course, the opposite, do you ever have to size down because of your shoulders compared to your usual size? If things your size are normally too small on your shoulders, you'll probably have width. It's much more likely that you have width. If they're too small on your shoulders, it's very likely that you are narrow. And if you don't really experience either thing, and you usually find that tops and jackets are neither too big nor small against your shoulders, you're probably medium. Your length and your vertical is going to affect the length of your clothing. So essentially this means, are you going to be wearing long skirts, short skirts, really short skirts, medium lengths? Which suit best for you? Can you take a crop top? Can you take a longer top that's below the hips? And there are various stopping points. So I tend to see the stopping points as like your waist, your hips, your knees, and your skirts. So just because you're short, it doesn't mean you can never wear a maxi skirt. I think that it's not necessarily going to be your 100% best look, but you can get away with a maxi skirt if it's above the ankle. In the body matrix, it is most likely that you are long if you are above 5'7", medium if you are between 5'4" and 5'6", and short if you are 5'3" and below. However, this is only a general guideline because you also have to consider your vertical line. Your vertical line is how tall you look. So you could be 5'5" and look quite a bit taller, look like you're more 5'7", 5'8". Personally, I don't think that anyone who is 5'8" actually looks 5'3" or 5'4" and is going to look best in really short lines. Just as I don't really believe that anyone who's 5'1", 5'2" is going to look 5'8", 5'9". I think it's so rare, and only in extreme cases is that a thing. There are two factors when considering vertical line I tend to find. One is the head proportion test. I first learned about this through Miriam Style, who is someone that I was following when I was first learning about Kibbe like 3 years ago. I think she is absolutely amazing, and I love her version of Kibbe, which is body geometry. But she uses the head to body proportion to establish vertical line, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So essentially, if your head is quite big compared to the rest of your body, it creates the impression of shortness because you look almost more doll-like. And similarly, if your head is quite small compared to the rest of your body, you look much taller. I think you should consider both your real height and your vertical height, kind of find an average of where you sit on the length scale, rather than just considering your real height or just considering your vertical. The other element of vertical that I consider is the top leg proportion. So I find the space between hip to knee extremely important in vertical line. I find that if you have a really long line between hip and knee compared to the rest of your body, you're going to suit longer lines. So this is, for me, for instance, one of those things that puts me in medium, because when I try and wear a really short skirt, I look really out of proportion. Although I'm definitely somewhere between short and medium, so I can borrow from narrow short round and narrow medium round. Again, I'm quite chill when it comes to the body matrix. I think you can find yourself in multiple places. If that top leg proportion is much shorter, then you're going to suit shorter lines better. So lastly, we have shape. When we think of shape, we're typically thinking about the waist, and I would say it's actually not that important in Kibbe or the body matrix. You know, all of this is kind of rooted from my understanding of how Kibbe would work, but kind of my own version. The main core elements of width, length, and shape and how they work are very much rooted in those fundamental ideas. So it's not to do with like your ratios of chest to waist to hips, and in fact you're looking at the shape of your bone structure overall. The whole point of shape is to establish the shape of your clothing. Do you want your waist to be defined or obscured? Do you want the shapes of your necklines, your skirts, your trousers to be more curvaceous and to have more curves, or do we want those lines to be more straight and angular? And also this can majorly affect the fabric. So if you're more rounded, you'd want the fabric to be softer typically, and if you're more straight, you'd want the fabric to be more sharp. And width and shape can really affect each other. So let's say you have more width and you're soft and rounded, you're probably going to want more floaty lines. Whereas if you have width and straight lines, you've kind of got a confliction there because you've got floatiness with width, straight lines, so a little structure with the straight lines, and you kind of find a happy medium. So with that, you'd want kind of like slightly heavy fabrics that are ever so slightly structured but still have some movement. So they kind of balance each other out. Sorry, that was quite a long tangent there, but I think it's kind of interesting to talk about how these things interact with each other. And for more like visual examples, you should totally check out the Body Matrix Pinterest boards. I have all 27 Body Matrix types with lots of outfit examples with celebrities wearing those outfits who are that body matrix type, so you should definitely go check that out to see how I envisage these body matrix types working. So with shape, you can have an indented waist and still be straight. You can have more of like a typically straight waist which doesn't have an indent and be soft and rounded, because it's actually more in the shapes of your chest, hips and shoulders. It's also not having a big bust or a flat chest. It's not being a higher or lower weight. It doesn't really impact it at all. I do think, unlike Kibby, that a change in weight, having babies and, you know, life changes can change your shape. I don't think that it will change your width. I don't think that it will change your vertical, but I do think that your shape can change as a woman, and like your overall softness can be altered. I don't think it would ever take you from straight to rounded in my experience, but you can go from medium to more rounded, or medium to more straight, or straight to medium, and so on. I think I have seen that, and I don't want to invalidate that experience. But a lot of women have curves of some sort. This doesn't make you rounded in the body matrix. I do have a small hack for this that I'm going to share in a minute, but I'm just going to kind of explain the more full length version. If you look at your full body picture, you want to do a line drawing and see, for example, the line from your underarm to your waist. Is that more of a straight line, or is it more curved and circular? If you look at your hips, are they more diamond-like? So you'd still see that as like a curvy woman, but they're full of lots of straight, sharp lines, or are they more circular? So it doesn't have to mean that you have like a really obvious hourglass. It could just mean like the lines are more rounded and soft. It also doesn't mean like having an apple shape or anything like that. It's to do with that front on view and the lines of your bone structure. Typically those who are rounded tend to be more hourglassy and soft, and those who are straight tend to be more like rectangle, triangle, but that's not always the case. And it's also about the shape of your shoulders. So are your shoulders more kind of straight like this? If you look from neck to shoulder, are they more straight? Or look at mine, they're so rounded and curved, and that can also be an indication. It's one of your data points. So that's kind of like the official way to think about shape. But I was trying to think of a cheat sheet. What is the easiest, quick way to test this? And this is one that I tend to find. Where is the smallest point on your waist? If it's in the middle of your torso and it's more in the middle-ish, then you're more likely to be rounded. If your waist is quite low or really high, you're more likely to suit straight lines. So if your smallest part of the waist is like just under your bust, you're more likely to suit straight lines. And if your waist is really quite low, because you have quite a long torso, your waist isn't so much in the middle of your torso, but much lower down, and you have less pronounced hips, you're much more likely to suit straight lines. It's a little bit of a hack, and it doesn't always work, but it's definitely something that I tend to see. Another quick hack to kind of see if you're more straight or rounded instinctively, and that this tends to be if you know by gut what looks good on you. If you tend to look better in a rounded low neckline, you're more likely to be soft and rounded. If you look better in a high kind of sharp neckline and you feel more confident in that, you're much more likely to be straight. And obviously that depends on if the way you like to dress is already affected by your body type, but if you feel like you've got a pretty good sense of that, those are quite a good indicator. That's the hardest one to do quickly, but hopefully that gives you more of an explanation there. And if you want to delve into your features analysis further and really understand your body matrix type, you should check out my features analysis handbook, which I have linked below. If you like this video, you should check out my playlist on the body matrix. There are videos in here which break down the 27 body matrix types, more information about width, length and shape, as well as a lot of my celebrity and TV analysis. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.